friends, welcome back to Mimi's Mixed Bag. I am going to share with you today a cute idea that I came up with, and I was at the Dollar Tree just about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I found these really soft gray, super soft fuzzy socks. I don't know if it's the crafter in me or what. You know, most people think socks. I thought what a cute mouse this would make. And they are just super soft. If you're familiar with these at the Dollar Tree, they're called Snuggle, let's see, Snuggle Do 2 or something like that. That's the brand name on them. But I've seen these for a long time at the Dollar Tree, and I think they have every color too. I was thinking mouse, and I was thinking Valentine mouse, and I thought it would be cute to come up with something. Well, anytime I have an original idea, I tend to Google it and see if, you know, anybody else has done anything like that. Well, lo and behold, I did find a website in the UK that someone had come up with very similar to what I had envisioned, except for my Valentine mouse involved a can, and this just happens to be, I think, a baked beans can or soup can or whatever you got, but they used a cup. They didn't use a sock or anything like that, but it was so similar to what I had envisioned, I decided to kind of play off of their pattern. The good thing is that they even offered a pattern. It was a party website that did like a duck treat cup, all these little animals, and they had a mouse treat cup. And I thought, well, this is perfect. So, and they even provided you with a mouse head pattern. And I thought, wow, this is even more perfect. What I did is I just printed it out and just cut one out, and then I just traced it on a piece of a cereal box, and that's going to give me my mouse pattern that I need out of just a little thicker of cardboard. And this is just a cereal box. So I'll put the link below to the little mouse head pattern below so that you can for sure have it. With the soup can, I'm going to cover the soup can with a sock, and that's going to be the mouse body. And then you need some other little things to go with it. You know, of course, a mouse has a tail, and you're going to have enough sock left over, I believe, to make a tail. You could hot glue a tube, make it into a little tube and create a tail. Or I just happen to have some gray yarn. I took about 15 strands and braided a tail and put a knot on each end. I don't know, just it's cute having a little braided tail. But you could do whatever you wanted to do. And it doesn't even have to be gray. I just happen to have gray that kind of match the sock. I mean, you could do a pink Valentine mouse, whatever works for you. You are going to need a little piece of pink felt for the little teardrop that goes inside the ear, and I may make his little hands and feet pink as well since I have it. And then for his whiskers, use whatever you got. You know, a pipe cleaner, some cotton yarn, even if you've got some of those you buy sandwich baggies, it'll come with a strip of those little pieces of wire, like bread ties. Those work perfect. I never throw away those little strips of wire because I use those all the time for something. Just throwing you some ideas out there. Now, as far as his eyes, you know, when you buy Google Eyes, they usually come in probably 100 to a pack, and there's multiple sizes. I chose, these aren't the regular, I call regular size Google Eyes. These are just a hair bigger, almost probably a half an inch. So with them having bigger eyes, I think it gives a more animated look. So I think that those will be cute. But you can use regular eyes, of course. If you've got some paper, just like for these little hearts, I'm going to put a heart on the mouse tail, and then I'm going to make a little heart nose. And if you don't have any wood hearts like this, then just the hearts are very easy to cut out. But I happen to have a whole little baggie of wooden hearts, and I took a red Sharpie and just colored it and then smeared a little red glitter, little stickles on there, and so that just made it a little more Valentine-y. Now, you could get the same effect with just some red cardstock or some red construction paper, whatever you have. And then once we get done, on the belly of the little mouse, I may put like a little sign. The actual website was for a teacher to give treats to their children, I guess, or their students at the end of the summer. And it was a little mouse cup. It said, "Have a mice summer." And so I kind of recreated that just with a circle punches, and I put "Have a mice Valentine." And if you don't want to make it strictly Valentine, because they can use it as a pencil cup or something on their desk later, you could just stamp. I had just had this "Lots of Love" stamp. And so after they eat the treats out of the treat cup, they can, you know, still use the little mouse cup. What I need to do now is take the socks apart. And the good thing is you can make 2 of these little treat cups for $1. I'm just going to stick my can in the sock all the way down and pull it pretty taut so that you will have, you know, a lot of sock left over. That's going to be the mouse body, and then I'm just going to probably cut it about halfway up because I want it to stick down there pretty far because I don't want you to be able to see the edge of the sock. I only need just enough to make a head and possibly a tail if you don't want to use yarn. I pulled it up as tight as I could, and now I'm going to cut off about half of what's left. Okay, I'm going to catch you up where I'm at so far. All right, I went ahead and pulled the sock over my can, and since I'd never done this before, I wasn't sure how well the sock would stay in the can. So I did run a little bead of glue inside the can. Now it stays in there pretty good. So the sock is down about halfway into the can. So you don't want to, be sure and secure it good so you don't want the sock to come loose. Now, since my tail's a little different, I decided to cut a little slit in the back of my mouse and stuck the knot in there because there was really no way I couldn't put it underneath because my mouse wouldn't sit on the table. So I just cut a little slit and hot glued my knot under my mouse skin, so to speak. And so now I've got a little mouse tail coming out the back. Now I went ahead and cut the centers of my little ears. All I did was just free-handed a little heart. I cut out a little heart out of felt and then cut the heart in half. And that made two perfect little innards for the ear. So that's the little teardrop shape I needed. And as far as the little hands and feet, I just cut out some little ovals. Just, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's handmade. And so for his hands, I made just like an egg shape and cut it in half, a little oval. And then for the feet, I made just a little wider. And you'll get a better look at it once I get the little mouse completely done. But on the printable, they give you a little pattern if you do want to use their little feet pattern. But I just made it simple and made ovals. It's not going to make that big a difference, and I think it'll have the same effect. Now, as far as the head, since I'm making two, I folded my cereal box in half and cut, two mouse heads. And the pattern doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be covering this up with the mouse fur, is what I call it. I'm going to put hot glue on the front and the back of the mouse and carefully try to squeeze it in this leftover piece of sock. And then I'm going to try to make sure I get it secure, and then I'm going to, once I get the sock secured real good on the front and back, I'm going to try to trim off the excess, and so then I will have a mouse head on the front and back. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work out, and if I end up having to take the back of the mouse head off, I will. But if you do, just make sure you take off the side that is not the cereal box side. So I got one side that's just craft color and one side that's the cereal box. Just keep that in mind. But that's how I'm going to try to do this and see if this works out. So I'll get back with you and show you what my mouse head looks like. I'm going to catch you up where I'm at. All right, I've got my little mouse head covered up, and it's looking just like a Stuart Little mouse, a Stuart Little head. It's so cute if you know who Stuart Little is. But just a few notes. Before you put your little sock on there, make sure that you put a bead of glue all around the edges. This sock tends to shed a little bit, so you do have to, even if you'll see, I'm going to have to go back, put a little bead of glue just to make sure I close it up. Now, of course, the easiest thing to do would be just to print this little head off on gray cardstock and be done with it. But I think it's worth the trouble to make his little head the same fur as his body. I think it really adds to it. So just with a little patience, you can get this cardboard covered with the sock material. So I'm going to keep working on my little face just to make sure that his face is good and covered. It's hard to put that glue in there, so if you see some little glue, you may have to trim it off, but it's going to be cute once I get done with it. Now, what I need to do is hot glue his little embellishments on his face. I'll show you how I'm making the whiskers. I just took some white yarn, I don't know, about 6 inches, and I just tied a little knot into it, and then that way I can make his whiskers just little bitty. So I just tied a knot, and I'm going to clip and clip. And then that way, that little knot in the center gives me something to hot glue on the tip of his nose. Because if I just have 3 little strings, it's hard to control. So that's how I had made his little whiskers. So it's just a matter of hot gluing it on the can and putting the finishing touches on it. Okay friends, I brought you outside even though it's 40 degrees out here. It is so bright out here and my house is so gloomy inside. But this is my little Valentine mouse treat can. I think it was worth the trouble covering his little head with the mouse fur. It just really sent it over the top. It is so adorable. Now, another idea I thought of, instead of giving someone treats, if you didn't want to do that, you could just stick some Valentine pencils in there. I just love my little Valentine mouse. So cute, very inexpensive supplies to make this. Hope you give it a try or inspired you in some way. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.